In this series, we will be interviewing leading experts looking at pragmatic solutions that increase happiness and well-being that help you, your team and your business grow and thrive. Hi, I'm Mark Hookey with over 30 years experience leading change and transformation and developing leaders. Today I'll be talking to Simone Giesen, owner of her own consulting and coaching company focused on helping people pivot their careers and health promoting leadership. Simone, thank you so much for being here with me today. I've known you for almost 10 years now, and in that time I've made many career changes in my lifetime, and I know that you've gone through quite some transformations in your careers. Why have you changed careers, and what are the moments where you've pivoted?
Well, I think it's very much about reinventing yourself in life. So sometimes we just outgrow jobs, or you gain new insights, you learn something new about yourself, you want to pursue a new passion. And in my case, it was very simple because I started my career journey in the wrong job. When I graduated from university with a degree in international business administration, I started out in finance. And now looking back, I have to say that I settled. So I took a job that was not in line with my preferences, my interests, my passion. I was just so happy to have a job, and I didn't want to continue the job search, and all of my friends were still looking for a job. So like I said, I settled and I stayed in the job for 3 years, moving to Paris even. And after 3 years, I really was desperate for a change. And within 6 months, I changed countries. I moved from Germany to Switzerland, pursued another education, and then I changed industries and then jobs. So by the age of 29, I found myself as a management trainee in a hotel, and I started from scratch. So I was supposed to go through all different departments in the hotel, housekeeping, sales, several F&B outlets. But after 3 months, they offered me a permanent position in HR, human resources, in training. And that's where I fell in love with training and then later coaching. And after that, I did that again for 3 years. And then the opportunity of working for Swiss Re came along in leadership development. So that was quite the next step for me and an evolution. That's when we met. And I was very happy doing that, got my coaching qualification during that time, and worked in change management also. And then after 7 years, almost 7 years, I decided to take on a bigger role in a multinational technology company in the eastern part of Switzerland as an HR business partner. That was a global role. And that's when I saw the entire life cycle of an employee. So I really expanded the scope. And last year, I decided to change again. And that's when I decided to focus on my own coaching and consulting business. And as of January this year, I'm doing that full time. And I'm very happy about this. I'm very passionate, and I've discovered some new topics that I find fascinating. For example, the topic of health promoting leadership.
So picking up on the last focus and why you pivoted, why the focus on health promoting leadership, and why is that so important?
So leaders have been at risk for burnout even before the global pandemic, and now this risk has even increased. And research suggests that mental health issues are increasing worldwide. And there's a clear correlation between the behavior of a leader and the well-being and health of his or her direct reports. And as we all know, healthy employees are the key to success. And that's why this topic has also been put on the map for organizations, and it's becoming more and more important now.
So you just mentioned the impact of the pandemic before and that effect on the kind of corporate organization. So let's explore that a little bit. What's the impact and why is it so important for a corporate or for a business?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to get the definitions right and to really make sure that we understand the terms we're using. So when we talk about corporate health management, there are two sides of a coin. So for one, there's the measurements of corporate workplace health promotion. That's everything along the lines of prevention. So everything the organization sets in place, like hotlines where employees can call, trainings, webinars, also collaborations with health insurers, gym memberships, everything to raise awareness and make sure that the employees get a lot of resources and information on the topic. And then there's the health promoting leadership, and that's more about creating a culture that fosters health and well-being at work. And it's about the focus on awareness and empowerment of the employees to make sure that they stay healthy, physically and also mentally.
Why is it important?
Because healthy employees are more motivated, they are less often sick, they are less likely to leave the company, so there's less employee turnover. Healthy employees are also more creative and innovative at work. And there's studies that show that the behavior of a leader can really influence the well-being and the health of his or her direct reports. So the University of St. Gallen has done a studies a couple of years back, and it's really interesting. They found out that leaders who focus on health promoting leadership have such a huge effect on the well-being of their employees. In small and middle-sized companies, the well-being increases up to 30%, and the intention to resign among those employees goes down up to 75%. And also there's an effect on the bottom line, and that is plus 15%. I think that's really remarkable. And so it's really time for leaders to ask themselves the questions, do I really focus on the topic of health and well-being, or do I take it for granted that my employees are just functioning? So the quality of leadership not only impacts the employees' well-being and health, but also the engagement levels and the productivity and the performance.
So what are you doing then with leaders and with organizations to help them build good practices around health promoting leadership?
Mm-hmm. So I've done a couple of keynote speeches last year in organizations to really put an emphasis on the topic and to talk about health promoting leadership. What are the characteristics of a health promoting leadership? Why is it so important? What are the benefits? And also I'm giving some concrete tools and tips for leaders. And then I run workshops on the topic. And also the topic has really found its way also in individual coaching. So there are more and more individuals who have realized that it's important to stay healthy, physically and mentally. And there's a lot of demand on the topics of self-care, self-regulation, mindfulness, and I picked that up in individual coachings as well.
So how can leaders then take pragmatic actions to apply some of the practices?
Good question. So leadership always starts with yourself, and I think it's important to have a realistic self-image and really know yourself really well. So being aware of what drives you, what is your purpose, what are your personal values, what are your inner critics, what are your drivers, your derailers, and also paying attention to your inner monologue. So how do you talk to yourself, and really having a good understanding of yourself, because that's key before you can talk about leading other people. And it's important to be authentic and to own that. And it's also important to have a good look at your energy balance. So I personally think that the concept of work-life balance is a bit outdated because we're all available 24/7 on our mobile devices. And as we've seen with the pandemic, the lines between your professional life and your personal life, they're more and more blurred. We've seen this in the pandemic in the home office. And it's important to have some really good boundaries in place and also some self-care techniques. And I think there's only life and work has to fit into that. And it's important to really know what gives you energy and what takes your energy away, and how do you keep the balance so that at the end of the day, the balance is positive, right? So I work a lot on that with my clients as well. And then there's the topic of resilience. So resiliency is the key protector against stress, and along the lines of self-management, self-regulation, and stress management, mindfulness. So this is also something very important to tackle.
What principles might leaders be able to apply?
Mhm. So the first principle would be psychological safety and structure. Because as we know, there's nothing worse than not knowing where you stand with a leader, or not knowing what's expected from you at the workplace. And when you think of Maslow and his pyramid, the need for safety and security comes right after the basic needs. So this is really ingrained in human nature. And as a leader, you can make sure that you create an environment where you allow for mistakes, and where it's okay to make mistakes and to learn from them, and where people can give feedback, where you have an open communication. And there's also a study by Gallup that was done when it comes to feedback. So as a leader, if you give your direct reports feedback once a week, that can decrease the stress level by 25%. And we're not talking about a fully fledged appraisal that's been done in large organizations maybe once a year, but just a quick check-in once a week can really help a lot with that. So that's an important principle. Another principle is giving appreciation and recognition where it's due. So we all know that it's important to meet employees at an eye level, and showing them respect, and letting them know that the job they are doing is of value to the company. And it's not about praising just for the sake of praising, but it has to be done in an authentic way. And in my experience, leaders sometimes struggle with that. Showing genuine appreciation, giving criticism is sometimes a bit easier. So that's might be a development area. Then there's the topic of adequate workload. So what we see is that more input, so more working hours, does not automatically equal a better output. And of course, long hours sometimes are inevitable, and that's normal, but it's important that people can also recover from that. And as a leader, it's important what you role model. So how available are you on weekends or during vacation time? When do you send out emails? All that sets the tone, and you're being observed 24/7 as a leader. In that context, it's also interesting to know, I think, that there's not only the burnout, so too much work and an overload can lead into a burnout, but there's also the opposite. It's called bore out. So very remarkable that too much work and too little work both can trigger health issues. So it's about finding the right balance. So then there's the principle of push versus pull. And this is about fostering the intrinsic motivations of your employees. So do you really know what drives them, what their purpose is, what they're really interested about in? It's about really finding out what they care about. And if someone, for example, shows an interest in communication, and then you can maybe find a stretch assignment and prepare the next step of the career development. So it could be also a fantastic tool for personal development, right? And then there's the topic of empowerment. It's about delegating the decision-making process down into the organization. It's the opposite of micromanagement, and it's about giving more job autonomy. And last but not least, it's about trust and creating a nurturing work environment. This is about culture. And you as a leader, it starts with you. How approachable are you? How do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with disagreements? And do you also allow for goal-free conversations, or is everything always down to work? And how open are you to feedback?
So you talked a lot about leaders, touched on individuals, talked about corporations, but who are you focusing on? Who are you focusing on to support and help?
So usually I work with leaders and their teams, but I'm now getting more and more requests also from individuals who are not leaders yet or don't have people management responsibility. And I think it's very interesting because the same principles apply. So the better you know yourself and the more compassion and empathy you have for yourself, you can also apply that to other people. So it really shows up when you work on yourself, and it has a positive impact on your relationship at work or in your private life. So it doesn't really matter if you manage a large team or if you have a family or if you're by yourself. So I also work a lot with individual clients and along the topic of self care, self-regulation, mindfulness, and that's really what I enjoy doing.
So you covered a lot in what you've said. Let me try and summarize some of the key messages. I always come at it from the angle from burnout and the leader as a multiplying effect. You say, one unhappy leader, unhappy employees. And you gave some great statistics around, focus on health promoting leadership increases well-being by about 30%, reduces the risk of resignation by 75%, which I think is incredible, and increases the performance, the bottom line, by 15%. These are the very logical reasons why to focus on this topic, but there are also the emotional reasons to focus on this topic, the engagement and how the intrinsic motivation can be significantly improved through this. And I think you mentioned 6 key principles around support and connect with your employees, give recognition where it's due, manage the workload. And that's the first time I've heard bore out, give challenges to your team. Intrinsic motivation, I think, is key, something that leaders can focus on more throughout. Delegate decisions and build trust with your employees. So, a few words of wisdom to finish on, a few sentences.
So, health promoting leadership can be a real performance enhancer, and health promoting leadership is a leadership task that should not be delegated. I believe that if you choose to work on one area of your life and if you put all your energy into improving that, it also has a positive effect on other areas of your life. And in between meetings, make sure you also meet yourself.
I like that very much. Simone, thank you so much for coming in and talking to me today. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you very much for having me, Mark. All the best.